Passage of the tax levy in 2013 ensures services and supports provided by the Lucas County Board of Developmental Disabilities will continue uninterrupted. Not only have the residents of Lucas County provided financial support, but passage of the levy reflects the ongoing support this community has in our philosophy that people with developmental disabilities should have the same opportunities and life experiences as all other citizens. Today, hundreds of children and their families each year receive early intervention services. Strategies are designed to help children reach their full potentials. An emphasis is being placed on expanding employment options in community-based settings. Children with developmental disabilities are attending public schools with their siblings and the other children in the neighborhood. Hundreds of local providers through the Medicaid system are helping individuals with developmental disabilities live in their own homes and apartments. With services and supports provided by the Lucas County Board of DD, more and more opportunities are being uncovered for persons with developmental disabilities to live, work, and socialize in the community. But it was not all that long ago individuals with developmental disabilities were segregated from community life, institutionalized, and excluded from public schools.
What the school system had was called an E2. You get a wonderful letter saying, you don't have to send your child to school, and we don't have to educate them. That's basically what it said. And it was a letter, so it got you legally off, which I still have. Now I kept just as a souvenir.
Parents were routinely advised to place their children outside the family so that the quality of family life would not be threatened. But as we moved through the 1950s, more and more families regarded the suggestion that they rid themselves of their own children as bad advice.
I felt that our son did not have a lot of traits that he did have a disability in it. And he was very fortunate that he would fit in, and he had a smile that spread from one end of the world to the other. And whenever Todd was around anyone in the public, they seemed to really catch up on the idea that yes, he was a special needs child, but we did not have the problem. But then I had many friends whose children were stared at, who were poked at, not with a finger, but with remarks, and it was very disheartening for those parents. So we all had to get together and make it a joint effort to let the public know that these are human beings and they have a right to do the same thing in the community that their children had to do.
Parents became advocates. These pioneering parents were resolved that there had to be something better for their children, and if the needed supports and services did not exist, they would create them. As we moved into the early 1950s, Lucas County was already ahead of most other communities through the efforts of Josina Lott, a teacher who believed there are no uneducable children, and supportive parents. A small private school and workshop had already been developed. A group of parents in the mid-50s created a nonprofit foundation to provide training and employment for their adult children. We know that effort now as Lott Industries. It was at this time that a group of parents and special education teachers visited Lucas County and left with a clear impression that nowhere in Ohio do the children that are dismissed from public schools have the opportunities that were offered here. Building on the successes already, the Lucas County Association for Retarded Children, then called LARC, now called the ARC, successfully convinced county commissioners to place a levy on the 1958 ballot. This was the first levy in Ohio to raise funds to educate students with developmental disabilities. With these taxpayer funds, the Child Welfare Board was able to assume operation of the Lot School and fund the construction of Lark Lane School. Lark Lane School opened in the early 60s. The 1960s saw other very significant events. In 1963, Lark purchased land for Camp Courageous, originally called Camp Lark. The camp opened, providing recreational and social activities for the child and respite for the family. 1965, the first building constructed originally to be used as a workshop and training center was constructed across the street from Lark Lane School. In 1967, at the urging of families, the state legislature created county boards. The various programs serving persons with developmental disabilities were collected under the umbrella of the county board. The reputation of Lot Industries continued to grow. With the support of staff from the county board, the employees of Lot Industries were proving that people with developmental disabilities could be viable, productive members of the community workforce. And then came the major contract from Ford.
And then Ford came along and said you had to be quality assurance Q1. So we said, well, we're going to do it. And we did it. And they passed, first time we ever were inspected, we passed the Q1, and which meant that Ford had to go to you first in order to do subcontracting.
The early 1990s were marked by two very significant events. The not-for-profit corporation Preferred Properties was created with a mission to develop affordable and accessible community-based housing for persons with developmental disabilities. This was in partnership with the Ability Center of Greater Toledo.
So we had a difficulty here in Lucas County in particular because it's a large county, and we had a heck of a waiting list. So we started looking at opportunities, and one of the things we discovered was that it might be possible for us to come up with a housing organization. And it might be best if it were nonprofit. And being nonprofit, it could access funds from other sources.
Today, Preferred Properties has more than 500 units. A new concept in support for families of children with special needs opened. This was the EduCare Center, a new home for the early intervention program, but also a home for the Prescribed Pediatric Center and other programs for families. This new concept was developed in a partnership with the state of Ohio, the Medical College of Ohio, now the University of Toledo Medical Center, and Toledo Public Schools. As we move forward into this new 21st century, the focus continues on an evolution of services and supports, moving toward greater integration in the community and more acceptance and greater independence.
My experience in working with People First, which is a group of individuals with disabilities who meet every month and decide what it is they want to do and what they want to learn. It is amazing once people are given a voice, what they can tell you that they know and what they can tell you what they believe in. And we can help them make it happen. That's the whole point of the service system, in my opinion. And it's the reason that I, as an advocate, and others, along with the parents and with the service system, have worked so hard to make changes for families so that they can find a way to live in their communities the way they would like.
We have made great strides in getting our sons and daughters out into the community and understanding and having places in the community, and they now work in the community and play and pray and do all the things in the community that they should be able to do. However, it's not an end. We have a lot of work to do. To coin a phrase, we've come a long way, baby, but we still have a long way to go.
Yeah, the system almost has to be all things to all people. The system has to become flexible enough to be able to meet the needs of everyone who needs their services. I think there's a larger percentage of those who are able to live in the community with appropriate supports. But there's always going to be that group of people who need a structured environment, who cannot function without a structured environment. But I think that we need to think ahead, and we need to open our minds and listen to people so that we can find a way to serve them in the ways that they need to be served.
The Board of DD Action Plan for this coming year focuses on key areas that continue the move toward greater opportunities. Working on a strategic plan for lot industries that ensures the viability of the corporation and its entrepreneurial spirit well into the future. Expanding Medicaid waivers. A front door policy that seeks to immediately ascertain the needs and desires of people seeking services. Ensuring that children now in public schools have a post-graduation life plan. And we will work toward increasing the understanding in the community about the individuals served by the board, to break down those attitudinal barriers and continue to build upon the extraordinary efforts of our pioneering parents.